Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, voice you know with the news you trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Dusty Sonnenberg. Well, an icy start to the day today. The temperature on the barn thermometer says 35 degrees. It is starting to melt a little bit, but I know doing chores this morning, it was plenty slippery walking across the barnyard to get out to do things. Today's a good day to slow down, stay safe, and take your time. I'm joined today by Dr. Laura Lindsay, OSU Extension soybean specialist. Dr. Lindsay, a neat program coming up. It's the 2025 Science for Success webinar series. This is funded in part by your Soybean Checkoff. The Soybean Resilience Blueprint, Adapting to Climate, Cost, and Challenge is the overall theme. Now, it's a webinar done sort of through a Zoom link format, but there's two different programs. The first one on February the 28th that you'll be a part of, and then another one coming up on March 14th. The one on the 28th deals with climate challenges in soybean production. Probably a lot of good discussions been had around that in recent times. What can you tell me?
Yeah, certainly there's been a lot of extreme weather events in 2024 and other years as well. I think researchers from Ohio State specifically were tapped for this topic because 2024 was really hard for Ohio farmers from a weather standpoint. Northern Ohio was really wet early on, which delayed planting, and then it pivoted to be really dry, where the southern and southeastern part of Ohio was just dry. So a lot of challenges there. And then we had very heavy rainfall from Hurricane Helene around harvest time. So we had really issues throughout the growing season last year in Ohio.
I would assume as a researcher, it really complicates things as you're trying to have replicated trials year after year after year. And obviously a lot of different statistics you throw into that to reduce variability. But then Mother Nature has to wave her hand and throw another set of challenges at you.
Certainly challenging, but not as challenging as it is for farmers. So, for research, no matter what happens, I learn something. My yields may not be as good or my soybean quality may not be great, but no matter what happens, I learn something and I don't have money on the line like a farmer does. So for researchers, it provides a nice opportunity for us to hopefully address those questions and those challenges if they come up in upcoming years.
Absolutely. Well, definitely. As you're learning, that's more data that can be shared across the board, whether the farmers experienced it in their local area or not. Well, it looks like a great panel that will be discussing this. An individual from Clemson will be moderating it, and then you and your husband, Alex, will be two of the contributors, as well as an individual from University of Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's a really diverse geography represented on this webinar. Science for Success represents 90% of the soybean acres in the U.S. So it's a huge network, and it's always nice to pull from other universities that grow soybeans.
Great. Well, the webinar is free to join, again, sponsored by the United Soybean Board. And to register for that, you can just go to their website, soybeanscienceforsuccess.org. It's all one word, soybeanscienceforsuccess.org. Again, two different programs, the one on the 28th that Dr. Lindsay will be a part of, and these start at noon Eastern Time. You can sign up for, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, noon Central Time, but the one on the 28th dealing more with the climate side, and then coming up on the 14th, the follow-up one to that, dealing with economic insights for uncertain times. Dr. Lindsay, we appreciate your work in soybean research and being a part of this in order to get the message out and hopefully help us in what is not quite so volatile a year in 2025.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Let's get a check now of that Thursday weather forecast brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com.
Rain continuing to try and exit Ohio here through today. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that forecast update. We should be clearing out in a lot of areas here this afternoon. Even far east and southeastern areas look like they're on track to get this moisture out here a little bit quicker. I'm fine with that. That's great. Warm air is still here. It's still mild today, but cold air starts to sag in overnight tonight. We are significantly colder tomorrow, even though we should see partly sunny skies. High pressure is going to sit here all the way through Friday. Our next round of moisture comes back for the weekend. Saturday, clouds increase. Rain develops in midday to afternoon in far southern parts of Ohio. Spreads across the state through the overnight and into Sunday. Anywhere from 1/10 to 3/4 of an inch out of that. Much colder air for the entire week behind this. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Let's get an analysis on today's markets from Leist Mercantile. This update brought to us us by Brandt, helping growers take control for over 70 years.
I'm Ryan Metzger with Last Mercantile, providing you with your weekly export data update. This morning, the USDA released their export sales data update for the week ending January 30th. New sales of corn beat expectations at 1.477 million metric tons. New sales of soybeans were within expectations and came in at 387.7 thousand metric tons. And finally, new sales of wheat beat expectations at 438.9 thousand metric tons. To now meet the USDA's export targets, we will need to see weekly sales of 573.9 thousand of corn, 216.9 thousand metric tons of soy, and 149.2 thousand metric tons of wheat.
Thanks, Ryan. Let's take a look at how the markets are trading, brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance, online at seedconsultants.com. March corn trading down 3.5 cents at 4.89 3/4. March soybeans down 4.5 cents at $10.52 1/2 cent, and wheat for March up 2 cents at 5.74 1/2. This is the Ohio AgNet.